Hi, Christopher James with Branson Talk, and this episode we are here with Clay Cooper, and you are at the, what theater are you at?
I'm at the Clay Cooper Theater.
Oh, that is, what a coincidence.
It's pretty original, isn't it?
What a coincidence.
Yeah.
And this year we're interviewing people that have a big investment in Branson, that have been here a while, and we've interviewed 200 different people in Branson over the years.
Wow.
And we finally get to sit down with you.
I'm number 199.
Yeah, well, 200 plus.
200. Okay. I'm out of the two.
But I wanted to talk with you about some of the shows you have going on, because I've seen some announcements about some new shows coming to your theater. But first, we always start with your background. So where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in Wiley, Texas, which is about 45 miles northeast of Dallas. And back in when I left Texas to move to Branson in '86, I come to town. There was about 1,000 people. It was kind of a smaller town, and now there's like 76,000. It's really
wow.
Dallas kind of spread out,
Yeah,
But
it's like a suburb of Dallas now.
Yeah, everybody wanted to move to the country, and now there is no country left. You know what I mean? So, but I kind of started. I did start down in Wiley. My dad sang and played in some of the local Saturday Night Opry shows, and I got really into that and started playing at the Wiley Opry in my hometown there every Saturday night. And my buddy Joey Riley, who passed away a few years ago, we grew up together, and his parents owned the Wiley Opry. And so I was a FFA member in school. I love Future Farmers of America, and we had a talent band we put together, like a bunch of us members of the FFA that played instruments, got in this competition and started playing in these school competitions, and that led to other things. And then playing music, it was just something I've always done. My dad and his 4 brothers and sisters all sing in the choir at church there in Wiley, and so I was introduced to music. My grandma played the piano in our church for 35 years, and in '86 I joined a band out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area called the Texas Gold Miners, and I was the oldest at 16. The youngest was 8, and we all played. Yeah, eight members, 8 to 16, and I played the bass. We had a Whitebeard who played the piano, and he's been with Kenny Chesney now for over 20 years, plays pianos for Kenny. And then we had another guitar player that's out with Joe Nichols now, and a redheaded gal that played fiddle, and Erica Bussey sang and clogged, and Michael Jackson was our drummer, and his little sister. Anyhow, we played all over the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Well, we had a connection, or one of the moms had a connection in Branson. We came to Branson and auditioned in 1986 at the Ozark Jubilee Theater. And we came to town and auditioned, got the job. Of course, we're all in school, right? And none of us were from the same hometown. We were all from the Dallas area. So it was pretty unique how when we came to town, the owner of the theater said, "Oh, we love you, we'll hire you." We did a 4:00 matinee, and he put us up in a 6-bedroom home downtown Branson, which it was right behind where the post office is. So we all lived there. We did shows 6 days a week at 4:00. And back then, Branson only really ran from like Memorial Day to Labor Day. It was only 6-month season. So once the season was up in September, we would all pack up, move back to our homes in Texas, transfer back to our regular schools, and do that until May come along. All pack up, move back to Branson, check into Branson schools, start the show. And we did that for years. And then once we all got into 20, 21 years old, we thought, well, the whole uniqueness of this group is that we were all kids. So once you got to be 20 or 21, you were too old to be in the band. Right. So I in '94 I was 24 years old. Country Tonight moved to town, big production up on the hill, and they came out of Vegas. And I remember going and seeing that show with a friend of mine, and I'd never seen a country show with production and 12 dancers and all this cool stuff. And I remember sitting at the Country Night Theater, and I told my buddy, man, I'd love to work in this show. This is the coolest show ever. And at the time I was working at the Grand Country Music Hall down here, the 76, what they call it, 76 Music Hall is what it's called back then, but at the Grand Country. Well, I got a call. That show opened brand new in Branson in May. And then in June, I got a call, said, "Hey, we're looking for a bass player. Our bass player is not working out, whatever. Would you be interested?" And I'm like, yes. So I went and auditioned, and they hired me, so I started there in July of '94. And I thought, man, this is the coolest thing. I was just a bass player. I sang a couple of songs in the show. And then by the second year, the MC at the time was broke his jaw. And we were doing 2 shows a day, 6 days a week, 550-something shows a year. We had a matinee that day. The MC broke his jaw. He was cutting a lobster tail with a steak knife.
It broke his jaw?
Well, it yeah, no. It slips off the tail, which you don't cut a lobster tail with a steak knife.
Right.
You know. So he's kind of cut into this shell. It slips, and it just slices his finger a little bit. And he stands up, and he sees the blood. He faints, falls over, hits his face on the window pane, and breaks his jaw. And it's wired shut for.
I would have made up a better story.
Right. This is a true story,
seriously.
though. So we get back to work for that night, and the producer's like, our MC broke his jaw. What are we going to do? And one of the guys in the band, I think Wayne Massengale, said, well, Clay can do it. He's been MCing shows around here since he was, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, can you? I'm like, yeah. So I stepped in and did it, and from then on in, I was the man.
And here you are.
Here I am.
How about that? Because I remember the first time I saw you perform was at the little Dome Theater, weren't you? Or at the little theater across from Walmart?
Yeah.
Yeah, not the Dome, but there was that little
next
theater.
Door. Yeah.
Yeah, and I came and saw the show there, and I think, do you know Matt Gumm?
I've heard of him.
Yeah. And I think I saw him in the show and a few other people, and that was my first experience. So.
Yeah, and that was our first. So that goes by, and I do country night for 10 years.
Right.
And then Paul Harris and I were best friends, and Paul was leaving Pierce Arrow, and he said, I'm starting my own show, and I got to have you. So I left country night, went with Paul, 3 years. Paul says, I'm tired of it, moving to Nashville. Mm-hmm. So then my wife goes, what are we going to do now? I'm like, I don't know. She said, so the owner of the theater we was in, the Caravel, said, well, I've got a morning spot open. You kids ought to start your own show. And we was like, okay. So we started a morning show. We had, I think we had 25 grand, and I hired a 6-piece band. My wife was a dancer, hired 3 other dancers, and I had Johnny Lone Star doing trick ropes. And so I remember we had 2 weeks of rehearsal. I bartered with Silver Spur. Hey, I'll advertise if you can give us some free clothing. We bought limited amount of brochures and one little ad. And I remember we had 2 weeks of rehearsals, and it was time. The day we opened our morning show, Tina goes, honey, we're out of money. I'm like, well, we had 25 grand. She said, it's gone. I said, we ain't even started yet.
Yeah.
And I said, well, let's pray that people come. And so a week went by and another week, and it was, time for payroll. We had enough money to pay everybody, and then we was broke again. And we worked 2 weeks, then we was broke again. Worked for 2 weeks, and that's how we built up and started doing morning shows. And then we eventually leased that theater that you're talking about down there, and did that for 3 years. And then we finally made a decision that if we were going to grow and make this business, really thrive, that we needed to be in a better location with. It was a starting point.
Yeah, it was kind of hidden.
It was down in the hill. It was
Yeah.
hidden. I've been here for over 20 years. Nothing had ever really made it in that theater, and I knew that.
Yeah.
And all my friends said, Clay's crazy. Well, I was crazy, but I believed in what we were doing. I believed that we had enough of a following from all my years at Country Night that people, we could do, I thought we'll be the most successful show that's ever been in this building, and we were. But we finally made that step to come and purchase this building, do a major rehaul, and that's where we are today.
Did you move from there to this theater?
Yeah.
Right now?
Yeah.
Because this is quite a different situation compared to that.
Oh yeah,
that's a big step up.
That place was, it's a 500-seat theater, and it had water leaks. Anytime it rained, the basement filled up with water, and there was just a lot of issues. Nobody wanted to pull in there because the hill was so steep, and the buses wouldn't come because it was too steep. And it was a big jump, and we put a lot on the line. I mean, this is a big investment. We added 7,500 square foot. None of this was here for dressing room space. And then, it's just I feel like we've been fortunate. We've worked hard. We've put together a great production year after year, and we try to stay with the times and keep it as modern as we possibly can.
Yeah.
And,
I remember when I came to see the show, I may be remembering this wrong, but out at the the concession stand or the box office. Like you were out there and like you did like everything.
I had an 8-hour shift at the box office every day.
Yeah.
My wife and I, because we couldn't afford to pay nobody.
Yeah, because I remember it was strange because I went and got a ticket. And then I was sitting there, and then you came out, and I was like, Because I think you were probably one of the first shows I saw the first week I was here. And I'm
Hilarious.
like, oh, no. I hadn't started working yet in Branson. Are they going to make me work in a box office? I don't know how to do that.
I still get that a lot. People come and say, we used to see you at that old theater, and you served us popcorn before the show. I'm like, well, our group sales department was me and my wife. The box office staff was me and my wife and one other lady. We had one lady that worked in the gift shop. But I mean, it was nothing, I'd park cars some nights before the show started, You just do what you have to do.
Well, and we've talked with some people about that have put together their own show, Amber Campbell. We talked about what it takes to put a show together. And people don't realize how hard it is.
Yeah.
I've been at the Showboat for 15 years, and people say, you ever think about doing your own show? And I say, yes. There's no way in the world I would do it. Because it is way too much work, and people don't realize the obstacles. And I've heard from people, you got to plan to have money for like 5 years to really start being successful in this town.
Well, we knew, going into it's the 3-year plan. You don't expect to make a dime until your 3rd year. And by the 2nd season, we were over that hump. We weren't getting rich,
right?
But we were paying our bills, and we had a lot of bills and a lot of employees. And the thing that is true. A lot of people think, well, how hard it is that they just go up there and sing for 2 hours a day. It's when you own your own, and I wouldn't have any other way because you get to do it the way you think is best. But there's times you think, man, I could probably make more money working for somebody else and not have any of these headaches. And that might be the case in some instances. But on a daily basis, you just, like this year, I had had to update our soundboard. That was $54,000. The generator went out. That's $8,000. New carpet, lights. I mean, every year it's just expense. We have 27 air conditioner units here, and there's always 2 or 3 out every week. And that's 500. And so you have to continue to make money because it costs so much to keep it going.
Yeah, the overhead.
The overhead is, we have over 90 employees. You got payroll taxes and mortgage and insurance and workers' comp insurance, and it's just,
people don't realize all of that.
It
goes
is a
into
lot.
It. But you have the freedom to do what you want.
That's right.
And one thing I really like is you are bringing in other shows, other types of shows and stuff here.
Yeah.
And I know you work really close with a lot of those shows to help them get set up and get put together. And you even brought in some of our performers that we had at the Showboat, Jordan and James and David. What's
David
the name
Griffin?
of
Oh, Third Power is the trio.
Third Power, and they're in your show.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you've had a lot of entertainers. You've had yodelers here. You've had Johnny Lunstar. You've had Matt Gumm, who's been on the show a couple of times.
A few times.
Yeah.
Since day one.
Yeah, he wants the attention all the time.
He does.
He needs the validation. He needs it. He's obviously not getting it somewhere, so he needs that.
He does. He likes it.
But I mean, when people hear about your show, they know it's going to be a show here. They know it's going to be a quality show. I mean, I've never heard anything bad about any of the shows, and we interview everybody. And I think it's great. This year you have a couple new ones. You have the Larry's Diner, right?
Yeah, Larry's Country Diner in the fall in September. Larry's has a big following on RFD TV with his TV show, and when the Starlight decided not to be a theater and changed it to the museum and stuff, I contacted the representatives and said, man, I'd love to have Larry over here. I'll do anything I can to make it happen. We had to do some moving of schedules and stuff, and the Haygoods worked with us to move some of their shows around so we could make it happen, because it's just first of all, it's something different. It's a crowd pleaser. People, especially the senior market, really loves that show, and he's bringing in big acts. Gene Watson, a huge country star, and Rhonda Vincent, and Jimmy Fortune, and all these different acts. And I think it's important for our theater to keep different. We have our 50 show that my 50 show that my wife and I also own and produce, Hot Rods and High Heels, that runs here, and then the 60 show.
How do you walk in the high heels? Is that a problem?
I don't at all. It is a problem.
Oh, I know.
What's
I used
weird?
to drag race. It was awful.
It's weird. In my show this year, we in our impersonations medley, we're doing the Bee Gees. And my wife said, I think it'd be funny if you'd be one of the Bee Gees. I'm like, honey, I'm a Merle Haggard, George Jones kind of guy. Well, I'm doing the Bee Gees, and I'm wearing platform shoes that have heels that tall. And the first time I walked, I'm like, almost broke my ankle.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not used to dressing like a woman and walking in high heels. I mean, not in public.
I was going to say, aren't you?
But yeah, it's so we keep, the Haygoods are here. The number one hits of the '60s. Shoji's here this fall doing his show with us September through December.
He's here because people have been asking us where he was going to be performing, so that's great.
Yeah. He had the incident with the fire at his building, and we brought him in last year, and I just called and said, Shoji, you've been sitting dark over there for a year. What's going on? And he said, well, we're having insurance problems and this and that and the flood and the fire. And I said, well, I could make some room for you if you want to work. And he's like, yeah. So he came over last fall. And then this year he's going to be doing even more dates, September through December with us.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. When I started here, I come from a little bit different background. I was working in New York and Chicago and other areas. And I came to Branson, and just the entire atmosphere was so different to me.
Yeah.
And where I was working, there was like a wall between you and the audience. You went out. You did your show, and the audience was out. You could have been doing it for television cameras. You could have been working for cameras like this. And it was so different when I came to Branson. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, after a couple years, somebody said, you need to go see Clay and watch his show and see how he goes down the audience and he interacts with the people. And I came and watched you a couple of times over the years, and you have great audience interaction. I mean, you go down and you remember everybody's names and you bring them back into the show. You have a lot of full circle. Yeah, a lot of full circle stuff going on there. And I think that helps you connect with the audience. But have you seen any big changes over the years? What would you say were the biggest changes here in Branson? I mean, we have had a lot of shows come and go. We have a lot of attractions now. And some of the debate we get on our podcast and stuff is people complaining about the new country coming and not the old country, which I don't quite agree with.
Well, it's funny you said that, because just this morning I was on Facebook and somebody had written, I think the post read, how do we help theaters financially thrive in Branson? Please leave it, something to that effect, And there were 160 something comments, and I read every one of them this morning, and a lot of them had good points, and a lot of them's like, well, we need to get rid of all the old stuff, and the old people are dying off, and we need to make it new, this and that. Well, first of all, the old people are our bread and butter. I mean, yeah, they're dying off, but there's more right behind them. I mean, they're not really dying off; they're just being replaced.
Being replaced.
You know what I mean? So, and I just had this conversation. I had a roundtable meeting with the governor of Missouri and the mayor and a few other business owners just last week here in town, and I said that very same thing. Somebody said about, how do we we want it to be new and fresh and capture that younger market, and I said, that's great, and we should attack that, but we also cannot forget about the people that are paying our bills, the seniors that have the money, that have the time to spend the money, and do take vacations, and in the summertime when the kids and the families are coming, a lot of those families are grandparents with their grandkids. Well, who's paying for the grandkids? The older folks that have them, So I think it is good to diversify and reach a younger crowd and have new things. I love new things and museums and the attractions. That's great, but you also can't lose focus of what brought you to the dance. And what brought this town to the dance was the Presleys and the Baldknobbers and the Boxcar Willie and all these shows that were here at Roy Clark Theater when I moved to town. And I even made the statement at the table with the governor. I'm like, let's take out. Somebody said we had 9 million visitors last year. Okay, well, I said, let's take out every last live show in Branson, Missouri. There's not a single live show to stop and see in Branson, Missouri. Where do you think that 9 million will be? And I would say that it would be way down.
Right.
People still going to come and see Silver Dollar City. They're still going to come to Bass Pro and visit Johnny Morris properties and the Big Cedar property, and that's all going to be there. But I don't feel like you're going to have 9 million people rush to Branson just to shop and ride go-karts.
Because that's what makes Branson really unique.
It is.
Because honestly, there are theme parks all over, not as good as Silver Dollar City. We love Silver Dollar City.
Absolutely.
But there's shopping everywhere now, and there's museums everywhere. It's the shows that make it unique. When I travel, a lot of people have never heard of Branson. I hadn't
Sure.
heard of it before I moved here. Mm-hmm. And when I tell them where I'm from, they ask me about it, and I say, well, we have, close to 100 shows going on throughout the year, and they're like, what in the world? Like, they have no idea. So
Yeah.
that is like the big draw.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what amazes them when I tell
Oh,
them.
yeah,
that, 'cause-
absolutely.
So I'm not going to come here to go shopping.
No,
You know,
they might shop once they're here.
right. But I'm
they're
saying
not-
it's not the draw. I'm not going
Right.
to drive to Branson because they have
There's an
a
outlet
shopping
mall.
plaza.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Mm-hmm. No, I think you're right.
And I just I think the focus, we don't want to lose focus of the live shows, and we don't want to just kick out our senior market.
Mm-hmm.
We need the senior market. We need the 8-year-olds. We need the 20-year-olds, the 40-year-olds. We need them all. And we need to keep the town so that there's something to offer to all of them.
To everybody.
To everybody of all ages. If they want to go ride that Ferris wheel, it's beautiful. It lights up at night. It's beautiful. And ride a go-kart. If they want to go see a traditional country show, they got the Presleys. If they want to go see magic or variety, they can go to the Showboat. They can go to see Riza, and there's the Haygoods here, and there's we have a huge variety show. There's all kinds of stuff for everybody. So it should be we need to market that and to all ages.
Yeah, and lots of times when people see like a new attraction coming in, they're saying, "Oh, we're starting to cater to the young people," and I don't believe that. I think we just have a wider range of things now. Because when a new attraction opens, it doesn't mean they go to one of the older shows and say, well, you have to close now.
Right.
Like, we can have it all,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's really helping Branson attract new people and keep increasing the number of tourists that we're getting. That's why we hit 9 million last year.
Well, and I think that's important as a business owner and being in this business. I want everybody to thrive. I want all the if the Presleys aren't doing good and the Baldnobbers aren't doing good and Six they're not doing good, then odds are I'm probably not going to do good because that means there's not people here. You want them all. When everybody's doing good, everybody's doing good. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm not like, well, I hope we have more than them. Of course, I always want as many people as I can get in the seats, but you see my point. I mean,
yeah, because I get people that say that all the time. They're like, we went downtown and saw your competition. I'm like, it's not our competition. We're all kind of working together in this. It's not, you came to both, so it's not really a competition.
Well, you want the city and the chamber and everybody to market this town to get them to this town. And then I feel like it's my responsibility to get them to my venue.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's why I spend marketing dollars and get billboards and brochures.
And put your face everywhere.
Put my face everywhere because, nobody's outside of Branson, Missouri, unless they've been to Branson, nobody knows who Clay Cooper is or even cares. I'm smart enough to know that. I'm not a national draw by no means. I'm a local guy that's been successful in this business. So I need that help in an outer market for people to reach somebody in Dallas or Des Moines, Iowa, or Minneapolis to get them to make something that they see that makes it look interesting enough for that customer to go, God, let's go to Branson. And then when they get to Branson, it's up to me to get butts in seat here.
Well, I think you're doing a great job, and I want to thank you for finally having the chance to sit down.
This
We're
is
just so
awesome.
busy. We just haven't been able to work out the schedules for
Well, we
for
hung
5
out
years.
at the TV show a while back.
We did.
You
I
made
was
me,
on.
you made me look ridiculous.
I didn't make you look ridiculous. I did a little mind trick.
I
with
did
you.
watch that too. I watched the replay. I'm like, what?
Yeah. I'm working on finding a venue. Maybe we should talk to do a one-off show every once in a while.
We should
of that type of thing.
That's
of like
cool,
an
man.
upscale mentalism, mind reading. Because I saw you several times after that, and every time you brought that up.
Yeah,
at the
well,
airport.
it just, I don't know. I mean, I watched, I even when I got home, I got to watch this. I'm like, what? He did? He touched me. I felt it, but you didn't.
Yeah,
well,
they don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
but
well.
that sounds weird.
It does sound weird. He touched me, and I didn't even. I felt him touch me, but I didn't see him touch me.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
And thank you, Clay, for talking with us, and thank you for watching Branson Talk and all things Branson. My name's Christopher James, and this is
Clay Cooper.
Come out and see him at the what theater?
We're at the Clay Cooper Theater.
That is such a convenient name. That is
Businessman.
Bye bye, everybody.